Hi guys, it's Rick Shields, PJ Golf Professional, and this is the Complete Driver Guide. This is setup chapter. I've just done the overview. This is setup. I've also got videos about backswing, impact and follow through, all up here in the corner. But setup for me is an integral and incredibly important part of successfully being able to hit driver well. It's a huge part. The biggest difference between an iron swing and a driver swing and the way we angle into the golf ball, iron hitting down and driver hitting up, can be influenced heavily by the way we set up to the golf ball. So the important facts of setup, and we're going to go through first off stance, ball position and body tilt. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about distance away from the golf ball and then tee height, all very important aspects. The first thing that we want to do when looking at hitting a driver well, again, hitting that golf ball more on the way up is key for a successful driver shot. As I address the golf ball here, I'm addressing this almost straight on. My feet are narrow and my golf club is absolutely dead straight. Now what I'd like to see with the driver setup is a very small step with the left foot, keeping that golf ball inside the left heel from looking on in this line here, just inside the left heel. And then taking the right stance wide enough to support my shoulder frame. And at all times, I'm keeping that golf club as straight as I can keep it. I don't want that golf club to be leaning forward or leaning back. I'm keeping that golf club really straight. So that ball is inside my front leg, my leg that's closest to the target. And now my right foot has moved far enough back to incorporate this width of stance, same width as my shoulders. The club is staying level, and that's when I'm going to take hold of the golf club. Now the hold, I've got a video all about the hold, and the hold doesn't change from an iron shot to a driver shot. Click link up there in the corner if you want to learn a little bit more about how to hold the golf club, because I've covered that in the last swing series. As I set up to the golf ball now, that ball is much further forward in my stance than what, let's say, an iron would be, where we'd aim to have it more in the middle. So that ball forward position really helps that club move up into the back of the ball and get that positive angle of attack we're looking for with driver. I'm also keeping that shaft level to make sure I don't take too much loft off the golf club or even add too much loft. So I'm keeping that golf club as level as I can get it, and then when I've got hold of the golf club, that does not change. Now what we'll notice here, because the ball position's gone further forward, this right shoulder has had to dip a little bit. This is a very important part, and this is going to help you hit the driver higher. Let that right shoulder dip, let it drop. And you'll notice here, I'm just putting my hand on the side of my leg. I'm just trying to get my hand to touch the side of my knee so that I get this angle in my shoulders of an up tilt. Then when I get hold of the golf club, I'm almost more behind the golf ball than ever before now. And again, that's going to really help me hit up into the ball. So from this front view, we're looking at ball position inside the front foot, the width of stance to support our shoulder frame, keeping that shaft super level and just dropping that right shoulder down and keeping that position of my shoulders. That's what we need to look at from this front view. From the behind angle, there's a couple of things that change compared to irons. Now iron, the Complete Golf Swing Guide with iron, I was very much talking about getting the arm coming straight down with the iron. Not so much with driver. I'd actually like to see a slight angle of your arms where your hands are a little bit more below your chin as opposed to below the chest. Because the club's longer, we need to give ourselves that space and that freedom. So when I set up to the golf ball here, my hands are more below my chin, and you'll see I've got more of a stretch outwards going forwards, and that's a good thing to create power as well. As I drop that right shoulder down, one thing that I really want you to be aware of, sometimes this can happen in the golf swing, where the shoulders start to aim further left. We're going to try and keep those shoulders, and it'll feel to many that that shoulder's being pulled back to behind. We want to keep those shoulders level with the feet. So I've now got this tilt. I'm behind the golf ball from this angle. That shaft is level. I've got that distance away from the ball, and then I can hit on the way up, and it allows me to move into my backswing really nicely, which is what we're going to cover next lesson. I'll be honest, it doesn't get a lot better than that. So the way that I've given myself space, the way that I've tilted behind the golf ball, allowed my golf club to hit up into the ball, but there's still slightly more to it. What I want you to do is get comfortable in that setup. And remember, this is only set up for driver. This is so different compared to an iron setup. And this is where we see the biggest separation between hitting down on the golf ball with an iron and hitting up on the golf ball with a driver. If we can change our setup in the best way possible, it's going to allow us and unlock so many possibilities as we move forward in our progression. And what I would definitely advise everybody to do is film themselves with these angles. Film yourself from directly behind and film yourself from the front. And feel free to screenshot those positions that I showed you earlier. We'll put them up on screen now. And let's see if you can get into something similar. I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but let's get something similar to that. It'll help you definitely hit into the golf ball better. Another really important aspect to hitting driver well is driver tee height. As you can see here, the golf ball is half above the club head's crown. That's going to help me hit up on the golf ball and get a strike that's high on the club face to reduce the spin rate. And that's an ideal tee height. Every driver size is different, so it's going to be slightly dependent on each individual's driver. But as a rule of thumb, we're looking for half the golf ball to be above the top edge of the golf club. In contrast to that, we look at this one here, and the golf ball is sitting too low on the driver head. So I can't effectively hit up on the golf ball there and still expect a strike high enough on the club face. As I go across to this one, this is a tee height that's too high. Golfers who generally hit up on the golf ball too much like to have the ball teed up this high, but there's always a fear when you're hitting up by so much that you're also hitting a little bit too much from the inside and creating too much curvature. But when we're looking for optimum tee height, we're looking for half the ball to be above the equator line of the club face, and that kind of works perfect. This one is a great example. If you've ever in doubt, do what I'm doing here and film the close-ups of the golf club sat behind the golf ball, and that gives us a good indicator to be able to tell what tee height is best suited for you. So far we've done overview, talked about the importance between irons and drivers and how they are different, how we hit the golf ball different with irons and drivers. Then we've talked about setup. Now we're going to move into the backswing. This is where we're going to create this power and this way of being able to generate speed, which is going to help you hit the driver much further. We now should be able to hit up on the ball a little bit further. Let's now talk about hitting the ball even further and harder. I think this chapter has the most amount of instruction in. So take your time absorbing all this information, because this setup has got the most amount of information in it. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, hit that red button, like the video if you're enjoying the swing guides, and comment below, how does that setup differ to what you're doing so far? Thanks for watching, guys. Join us in part 3, link up here in the corner, all about backswing as we get that power. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.